Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 85. We are here at PCA's national headquarters. Around the table is quite intimate. It's just Manny and I today. But we do have Damon Lowney on the line. He's calling in from the house. He's been on the road for quite a bit here, and so it's just a little bit easier to patch him in through Skype. And of course, thank you very much to Robert Forsyth, who's behind the scenes making all this come together. Let me say, can I just start off with a big thank you for so many people that commented on episode 84, which was the first episode where I've been back since my little medical episode. And again, I think the 84 was very special for me not because it's about me, but hopefully I'm affecting a lot of you that are listening and have been putting off that annual checkup, or you haven't been feeling well and you've decided to make an appointment. I've got at least, a dozen people that have told me, yeah, I'm going to get checked out. So, episode 84, if you haven't listened to it, it's pretty special to me, and I hope it saves some lives.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, my wife learned, she didn't think she knew CPR until she had to use it. And evidently watching it on TV is how she learned it, and that just came back to her, so. Yeah, you never know. This might save someone's life.
We love all of you, and we want you to stick around for a long time. So do what it takes and get checked out if you're not feeling well. I do have a quick update about a very interesting story that happened at Rennsport Reunion, and that's the story of the missing stamp.
Yes, the one that appeared on eBay during the event, I think. Yeah, it was during the event that it appeared on eBay.
I mean, someone decided to steal it. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
steal it, and
it wasn't gifted. We checked with Porsche. Porsche actually checked with us.
Yeah,
and
we've been tracking it on eBay. They threw it on eBay of all things, and it went to about almost $1,600 for this little stamp that probably costs $50 at most to make. But I like how the story ends, because honestly, it just kind of disgusts me when people just steal stuff, and to be bold enough to just throw it on eBay and try to profit off of it, that makes it even worse. And we've got word that they might be in for a little interesting ride.
So Porsche may be going after it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. My thoughts is
as soon as they report it stolen to the state of California, then they have to start an investigation.
Yeah.
And that's pretty easy to look in eBay and contact eBay. And my wife works, I guess, partially in law enforcement, and these companies like eBay, Instagram, they are more than happy to hand over all the information they have, contact info of anyone who the police ask about.
Yeah, and I think I said it before, but if someone stole my property and I saw it on eBay, I would bid on it just to find, and I would bid on it and I would win it, and that way you have to have the details of who sold it to you, right? And then you go after them. Like, that's what I would do.
I always wonder if these little air tags are going to get so small you can put them on things. And because we've had signs stolen at parade during the event. And there's one parade, if you remember, the couple got a phone call, not a phone call. The security actually followed them back to the hotel room and contacted, I think, PCA management to see if they wanted to press charges, which fortunately, they didn't. They just got a scare.
Yeah, and we just wanted the property back.
Yeah, in this day and age of cameras everywhere,
yeah,
I'm surprised that someone would steal something like this. And
what did you say about criminals again? I forget. You always say.
Well, my father-in-law was a retired police officer, and he would always say that people give too much credit to criminals, that they're not that smart. That's why they're criminals.
Yeah. All right. So last week was also not only being back here at the office, but I hopped on my first flight with Manny and Melanie. We headed out to San Diego to do a site visit at HRE for Unstock. And for those of you that are coming for Unstock, you have a car in the show. We have a great event in store for you.
Before that, I think You have to relive my master move on the airplane.
Oh,
and how we got ourselves a free seat between us.
I will totally give you time for that because, as you know, our airline of choice here at PCA, because we are stewards of the club's money.
Our local airport is 80% Southwest.
Yes, so the luxurious Southwest, and if you're familiar with boarding on Southwest, it's by group. And lately, planes have been filled to 100% capacity. Now, if you're lucky, you'll get exit row because you get on first. And unfortunately, we did not, but we did get
and this
a
was
row.
an old plane.
It was an old 737.
It was the kind that only had one good exit row.
Yeah.
With the extended leg room.
So I dive in for the window, and Manny takes the aisle.
Not the exit row. We got the seat behind
we got the seat,
row behind it.
Yeah. And there was a middle seat available. Melanie doesn't want to sit with us for some reason. She
not in the middle. She needs her window.
He needs her window. And so anyways, we never know who's going to be sitting in the middle. We wonder if it's going to be a small person or a big person. But there was a
and you can't motion to very thin people hey, come sit with me, especially women, because it's going to look really creepy. So you're kind of frozen, hoping that you get someone like a gymnast to sit in the middle.
So the flight attendant was in the exit row blocking one of the seats, and a couple comes and says, "Oh, there's actually 2 seats available on exit row," and so they want to take.
They were behind us.
They were behind us, but they wanted to take those seats.
But it wasn't an exit row.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
This is behind us now.
The row behind us, correct, right. And so anyways, the gentleman can't sit in the seat that he wants, and so Manny,
because the flight attendant says, I have to stand here until they finish boarding.
And Manny makes the chess move, and I got to give it to him. He turns around nonchalantly and says, "Hey, why don't you sit down in our middle seat until everyone boards?" And so sure enough, he sits there, and everybody gets loaded in. And
everyone's asking the flight attendant, "Can I sit there where you're standing?" And she says, "No," and points to our new friend, saying he's sitting here.
Yep. And everybody sits down, and the door's about to close.
One empty seat, the whole plane.
One empty seat, and she gets out of his seat. He moves into the seat that.
Thanks, B, for being so nice to let him sit in the middle, so he didn't have to walk in the back of the plane to wait.
And we pretty much had a luxurious aisle to ourselves. So well played. I got to give you that.
Yes, especially when you're going cross country.
Yeah,
for 5.5 hours.
All right, so back to HRE, Vista, California, Unstock. We will be there November 12th, which is a Sunday.
Yes.
I didn't write it down. But anyways, the facility is phenomenal. It's huge.
Yeah.
And we will be parking some cars inside that will be next to some really cool machinery and makes for a very Instagram-worthy backdrop. And I think we've also... Have we sold out yet on display cars, or just about sold out?
I think after we did the walkthrough, we were able to add some more cars. So we were sold out, but then we opened up about, 20 more spots.
Okay. Of
which we probably will be sold out maybe by the time this podcast comes out. If not, check it.
Yeah.
We'll have a wait list, obviously. It's gonna be incredible. Because it's obviously it's a working factory. It's not a showroom. And they're going to have machines running. We told them don't stop the manufacturing because of us. So I think it'll be cool for entrants to be able to see how these wheels are made, and just the pictures alone in such an industrial setting with these really tall racks. It's obviously an industrial warehouse, so they have very tall ceilings. And they're making the wheels and running the machines. It's
and you'll be able to walk through at your leisure. Their staff will act like docents in the different areas, and you'll see from raw aluminum pieces, like pie plates, and how they get milled and sent through. The production is really cool. Lots of space for parking, not only parking for our display cars, but do we want to talk about the extra parking that we're setting aside?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You tell insider tip here.
Well, the past 2 times, it's basically if you show up with a stock Porsche or one that's not in the Unstock show, you're on your own for parking, usually on the street. But this time, we're going to have a corral. It's going to be limited. What about maybe 60 cars?
Maybe 60 cars, yeah.
60 cars that you'll be able to park inside HRE.
HRE's lot,
their property line,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and at least then you don't have to park on the street. But there is plenty of parking on the street, and since this is a industrial area, everything's closed on Sunday.
So you should have plenty of parking.
If you drive by on a Friday, it's probably going to be pretty busy, but come Sunday, it's going to be a lot of parking. So even if you got to park on the street, it's not the end of the world. It's plenty of space. But for those who get there early, Unstock has people coming and going, so volunteers will tell you if there's any empty spots in the corral to park. But it's a nice improvement over past Unstocks.
You know, we always look to improve the event, and I think this a little bit will add, and you'll see stock cars kind of parked to the sides and all the incredible modified cars throughout the facility and surrounding the facility. Food trucks, DJ.
Yeah. They've done an open house there, so they know how to put on a show, which was great for us because we're not blazing any new frontiers and learning the hard way. So the amount of access, if you've never been to HRE, is really incredible. You're gonna be able to walk around the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were going to do tours and you just walk in, kind of like we do here in the office. But no, it's going to be open there for people just to hang out, and hopefully everyone's cool and.
And our sponsors, I believe Pelican Parts is going to be bringing a big tent and be selling stuff. And we have, of course, Toyo Tires and Princess Cruise Lines will have somewhat of a presence. And we'll have a favorite pick of HRE and a special prize for that winner there. A very cool car that I believe will be there at minimum is the Carrera GT, or one of the Carrera GTs that has the HRE fitment. I believe that they're working on bringing that. So that's just one of many hundreds of cool cars that are going to be there. So we made it back from San Diego. That was less than a 24-hour trip, quick turnaround. And Manny didn't rest. He went home from the airport, climbed into a car.
Literally. I drove home.
And headed north.
Switched clothes in my suitcase, threw it in the Boxster, and then went back on the road again, heading up to Ocean City, New Jersey for the Boardwalk reunion. Which, unfortunately, and this was not the organizer's fault by any means, Bob and Ellen did a great job organizing. They had sold it out at 425 cars, but Mother Nature this year has not been kind to car shows on the East Coast, at least in our area. And it rained for half the show. At least in the beginning when the cars came, it wasn't. But because of the threat of rain, they only had 275 cars, which quite honestly, I was amazed that many cars showed up with the threat of rain.
Absolutely.
Especially they had a 52 356 Pre-A, which I was amazed at. Kudos to that guy for driving it out even though it was going to rain. My wife got there like 2 days before to help volunteer, help Bob Ellen and their crew. I will tell you this much. If you come, now some people like to board a plane and they love to sitting in the back of the plane and they don't mind that it takes an hour to get off the plane. They're fine with that. That's cool. I mean, God bless you. I'm not that person.
You found out you're not.
I want to get off the plane as quick as possible, not in the back. And so Bob had. My dear wife said, "Sure, I'll be a pace car," and he put us in the last pace car.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, every other Boardwalk reunion, I've always been in the front. I made sure when I got there early that I parked in the first row because I also don't want to be waiting 45 minutes to leave the Boardwalk either. But 45 minutes it took to. It was a lot of cars. Even I can't imagine if it was 420. This was only 275. But we were parked really far down the boards. And what I found out was the merchants would get mad if they don't have cars parked in front of their shops.
Oh.
So they have to. So Bob and Ellen have to do actually like a mathematical determination to spread them out. Because the merchants will cry foul if the cars don't extend up to their stores because then people stop walking when they reach the end of the line. Right. So. I mean, that's pretty cool that the merchants rely so much on the cars. But from it felt like it took 20 minutes to get to where all the action was at the music pier. But like I said, Bob and Ellen put on a great show.
And thank you to the volunteers. They had a pretty big crew of volunteers.
Yes,
as well.
very good crew. I think a lot of them were repeaters, so they knew what they were doing. It takes a lot to corral these cars. It looks when it's done right, it looks easy.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not done right, that's when you can see when things go downhill. But everybody was lined up perfectly. Police were very helpful in helping get the cars out as quick as possible. But obviously, it takes time because once you get to the boardwalk, you're going like 2 miles an hour.
Right.
So there's only so much you can do. But yeah, it was a fun
kudos.
time.
Kudos to the folks that, brave the rain. And it's funny because we always say we drive our cars, in the wet too. They don't melt. But still, some people that have cars that are perfectly clean, they just rather not get them dirty and have to rinse and repeat. But one car that stood out in this video, I saw it as well. There was a 996 that looked like Smyrna green. And obviously that was not a factory color, and I don't think it's a painted sample car. I don't know if it was wrapped, but I thought it looked quite amazing. Did you catch that car?
No, and Smyrna green looks great.
Oh, and you can't see. So here it is. Here it
is
is on YouTube, behind the white Macan. It
looks like Battleship gray to me.
Oh, really, Mister? Yeah, you can't see that green. It's a very good-looking green. So I'd be curious for those of you that were there, if was that car wrapped or was that painted?
I would say, that's a good question. I was going to say, obviously not a stock color,
Yeah.
but at the Pocono Parade, I remember everyone was ooh and eyeing over a new 992, I think, painted Smyrna green, and next to it was a 56, which was the original color in Smyrna green. And how cool it looked, and I swear I thought they were pranking me. I kept on saying it's gray, it's not green, and they're like, no, it's green.
Yeah, so this one it could be jade as well. I can't tell from the TV,
sure.
but it's a very cool shade. So if you know the owner or if you saw that car, I'd love to know if that's what color it is and was it a wrap or was it real paint. Damon, you've dropped some videos recently. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, so we recently had a video with Grant Larson at Rennsport Reunion about the GT3R Rennsport, which I think in the last podcast I said would be published by the time you heard last week's podcast, but it wasn't. But now it is published. One of our correspondents, Laura Burstein, who, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see both of them, Grant and Laura, took a walk around, really a deep dive, 21 minutes, I think it is. And there were a few nuggets in the video that you wouldn't have learned from the press release, and I don't think any other story that was out there. One of which was the spoiler or rear wing is actually 3 millimeters narrower each side, so 6 millimeters narrower than on the GT3R. So they're going to have to compensate in other ways. They painted the original model in Riviera Blue without the carbon fiber, black carbon fiber accents. And Grant wants to see somebody buy one of these cars in a solid color. So somebody out there, one of you 77, please do that. Grant his wish. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, very cool car. We also had the latest OMR was the two 997 Targas that I drove. It was a 997.1 Targa, which is what you're seeing here now. If you're watching YouTube, it was Nordic Gold with a 6-speed manual, and it was driven back-to-back with a 997.2 Targa 4, which was dark blue metallic and had PDK. Very long 1 mile review. It's like 40 minutes, but it's very in-depth. I think I drove quite a few more miles than one for each car on this one. But
well, it took you a while to find some curves.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So where we were filming, this was outside of Chicago and in Indiana, and there just are not many curvy roads, and the ones that were just too busy, too many houses, too much stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you can still get a pretty good view on these cars on a road like this. But one of these days, hopefully, I'll drive them on a twisty. So.
Yep. And I see that you released.
I also mentioned our club's president, Aaron Ambrosino, did a video. He interviewed John Church, the team owner of the JDC Miller 963, which ran in IMSA this year and just finished a Petit Le Mans with Jensen Button was one of the extra drivers for that 10-hour enduro. And it's just an interesting look at how a customer team, because this is the only customer team at this point, I believe, in IMSA
Proton too.
program. So very cool. Short video, a little less than 8 minutes, but a good walk around of it.
Very good.
Yeah, actually, the other customer team, Proton Competition, they podiumed at Petit Le Mans. They got third place, which was the first time for a 963 customer car to podium, which was, I'm sure Penske wasn't happy because they didn't podium,
Right.
but I think it's pretty cool that a customer-based team actually got on the podium.
Yeah. So I'm excited for, I guess by the time you hear this, I'll be excited for this week's Tech Tactics Live, and it's sort of a round 2 with Mike Maurer.
Yeah, so he's going to come back and go more in depth on Porsche pricing, and by that we mean that we've seen on the internet these just incredible, outlandish additional dealer markups. It seems that every two-door car, it has a premium priced on it, and for someone who's genuinely looking to buy a Porsche, it can get a little bit overwhelming as to what you're expected to buy. A lot of dealers are trying to maximize their profit margins that are charging you for all these extras that that you may think is it negotiable or not. And Mike's going to shed some light from his 20-some years in the industry of what you can expect and what and why they do certain profit margins and why they do some additional dealer markups and whatnot. So, yeah, I asked him. I said, "Can it fill an hour?" He said it could fill 2 hours. Yeah. So, think about your questions. So obviously, it's live on Wednesday, next Wednesday, or the Wednesday if you're listening to this podcast. It's this Wednesday from 8 to 9 on East Coast time. It'll be last time it's one of our most popular videos of the year. Yeah,
so if you have questions, you can put it in the comments of this video, or if you happen to land on the YouTube preview icon for the Tech Tactics Live, you can put the comment in there, and we'll make sure we'll read them and prep the show with that.
Or just join us for the live show.
Oh, yeah,
we have a very lively chat area, too, that gets monitored, not by me, by Damon.
Yep. Well, before we get into the next section, which is, you always say that I am one box away from the show Hoarders coming up to my house. This next one's going to be an exciting discussion, but I want to make sure and remind people to like, comment, and subscribe. And, of course, we talked about last week how we surpassed 80,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're on our way to 100,000. So thank you all for that. And also take advantage of all the email newsletters we have: eBrake News, Mart Fresh News, Performance News. Just head over to PCA.org and sign up, and they'll get delivered straight to your inbox. All right. So but the most popular video we have ever done on YouTube is the White Collection. And when that debuted, Damon, how long ago was that when that video debuted?
That was November 2018. We filmed it in late May, early June 2018. So it was like the 31st and the 1st.
Yeah. So by far our most popular video. And it is, if you haven't...
I don't think the owner grants access to many people, because I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff from that collection. So.
No, that was definitely an insider.
He'll grant access to I think people he knows, and his friends or maybe friends of the collection. Or I'm not sure if he's still doing that, but I believe PCA, myself, our photographer for the Panorama article, Nick Berard, and our video crew, which was just 2 people. Will Keown and his assistant Sam Snellgrove. We were the only people who I think have ever been in there with cameras, with permission to film and take photos.
Yeah, and I thought we held our end of the bargain, and we kept the owner and location in confidence, and just focused on the collection and the cars. And man, when that video dropped, it just went bonkers. So for those of you that don't know, that very same collection is going up for sale through RM Sotheby's. Whoo!
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because so many questions. It's a beautiful collection. I mean, whoever the owner is, he knew what he was doing, and he collected the best of the best. And I can totally respect it. I know I read all these comments saying, "What a waste!" He doesn't drive them, and they just sit there. And I don't know why that triggers people so badly. Because to me, if he wants to treat it like a piece of art and just display it, who cares?
So be it.
It's at some point someone else is going to be able to either buy it and use it and do whatever they want with it, and they're going to be given a specimen that's absolutely almost perfect. So, it's
it doesn't trigger me. I do sometimes feel like it's a shame that the car isn't doing what it was meant to be, but at the same time, it's, if it wasn't for people like this, you wouldn't have perfect examples to reference.
Will
against.
you put 1,000 miles on your 87 this year?
Why are you getting personal?
No, I'm just saying. No. And you have about 10 cars? Can you imagine how many cars like this is?
No, and that's what I'm saying is I totally respect what they've chosen to do. I can see both sides of it, but it doesn't trigger me. I mean, it's your money. It's whatever you want to do, and if it brings joy to you, then do it however you like.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Just when I see someone who does this with a car, it doesn't.
Yeah, I do have questions though. Why white? Do we know?
We have some insiders who are familiar with the collection, and no one has been able to answer why white. I mean, my first thought when I saw the video was white being the original German racing color, and what factory race cars all come in white. I love white. Obviously, I have a Grand Prix white 964, but. No, I don't think there's been an official reason as to why. And did you ever hear, Damon, why it was all white?
So it's possible he told me, but I think that would have stood out. So the owner wasn't there for the video, but he did stop by when we were eating dinner that night, the night, after our first day of filming. And I don't really remember him saying that white was his favorite color, but white is a really, really common color. I want to say this is something he told me, or at least the general idea is that you can always pretty much get any Porsche in white, and so you can have a theme. And if you're searching for old Porsches that you can't order a new car in white, you can always find white cars on the used market and keep with that theme. So, but I will say the Grand Prix white is his favorite white. So you'll see some cars in there, and I forget exactly which ones. I'd probably have to go back and reread my article or watch the video again, although I don't think that's addressed. But there are some new cars in there, because I think Grand Prix white was Porsche stopped painting that color like 15, 20 years ago. Like that was late 90s was the last time, but he's had some PTS Grand Prix white new cars, in the past 10 years.
The Targa Heritage was never offered in white.
Nope.
I don't think any kind of white.
And I'm pretty sure that's an expensive check box.
That's not only that, but it's also that some of the things like the white brake calipers that were on the 918, I think it is. Pretty sure that's the one, because that's the only supercar he ordered new. He had to twist Porsche's arm to have the brake calipers painted white.
So here's the thing that I've learned is, and I don't think this gets me in trouble, but sometimes, requests from customers for their Porsches has to be, tested and for longevity, and if it sits out in the sun, it's gonna fade. So it's got to pass some tests, but in super, 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 super rare cases that they will paint or do something to a car that it may not have passed that test, but it is identified as a car that will be for display purposes only. It's not like something that you would, drive and use, because they kind of want it out. I would assume they want it out that if it wore because the sun became yellow, they're like, hey, that was never done with the intention of it being outside. It was going to be a display car only or something like that.
I remember when we did the 60th Club Coupe. Originally, they agreed to have a special color, and they were going to run it like a PTS, which wasn't as much testing as a regular color. Mm-hmm. But then someone high up said, you do realize these cars are going to be parked next to each other at the show, and if the blue isn't perfect on every single one, then people are going to say what's going on here.
Right.
So they had to turn around and test it just like a regular mass-produced color, which obviously cost Porsche more than they anticipated. But they were very cognizant of the fact that they didn't want these things that shows 20 years from now looking at different shades of blue.
So do you know, Manny or Damon, these cars, as they sat in the collection, were they on a routine to be exercised, or were they just bought and parked?
You wanna guess how that was done?
I would say it's
the easiest solution.
I think they jack it up and run it, and then go through gears.
You're
and then
almost there. So if I remember what the caretaker Carl Bauer telling me is that they would turn them on and run them inside. And they have, just so you know, plenty of they built the building and fitted it with things that would evacuate the exhaust. So all good.
Yeah.
But they would drive it around in circles inside the because it's a big collection and there's a little pathway. But turn it on.
So they would just drive it inside. They would never actually go outside.
Just a little bit, to get things moving and So.
Oh, wow.
We saw a collection like this. It was no Porsche. It was a lot of McLaren, a lot of Lamborghini. But was amazed was each car had about 100 miles or less. And I asked, and the owner was there. He was quite proud of the collection. I asked him, did he ever drive these cars? And he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, well, no. But what struck me still to this day is every car had like this on the seatbelt. You know those things you buy that so it doesn't rub your shoulder.
Oh, the pad, like the shoulder pad. Yeah.
They had on there like Lamborghini or
Oh,
McLaren.
please don't say that. Oh, no.
But I thought to myself, well, if you don't drive the car, why do you even need these seatbelt pads? But it just struck me so weird that you would get. I can understand that you're gonna not drive it and just put it on display, but add the seatbelt that wasn't OEM. This really.
Maybe he was just worried, like when he hops in he doesn't want to wear it.
It look cool.
No, please don't say that.
It had to. I mean, what other?
No.
But anyways, this the fact that he didn't really drive these cars. Made me think
I should add in there that every once in a while, he did tell me a couple stories of taking a couple cars out every once in a while. So you might have, if you were in the area in Houston, near where the collection is, it's possible you might have seen some of those cars out here and there, but it wasn't a super common occurrence.
Yeah. So, do we know, were there cars that were harder to acquire versus cars that, they just built as soon as it was announced?
I think this owner or the seller hasn't been collecting for a super long time. And I apologize if I don't remember exactly, all these timelines, but I don't think that the owner has been collecting for more than 10 years. Definitely not more than 15.
Wow.
So this is
all that in less than 15 years? That's amazing.
Yeah. So 2018, it's been 5 years. So I would probably say early 2010s, I want to say. So he hasn't had this collection for a super long time. He built it pretty quickly.
But the timeline, he's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Now that he's selling it, I can imagine what the return versus what he paid for him is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that he's going to make money. Where that collection's going to make a profit.
Yeah.
Even though values of Porsches and cars in general have cooled a little bit lately, it's still
not for the cars that he has.
I would think,
not for the cars he has. Yeah.
I would think I'm not going to say crappy, but let's say the entry level cars would be the hardest to find because they're the ones that no one thought to take care of. Like he has a car that I would love to have, just to have a perfect version of this. And I remember seeing this car, and I don't know if this is the same car or not, but it's the 77 924 Martini edition.
Yeah.
It has a red interior that doesn't wear the greatest, and because of sunlight, and everyone knows red fades out. They had a dash that would crack very easily. And I saw pictures of one at Parade where they won the Manhattan Award. And it was absolutely stunning. It was low miles, and I'm wondering if this is the same car.
Is that the same car that our past president owned?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's that many Martinis
that are in perfect
condition. And from what I understand of this collection, it had to be almost perfect. He wasn't buying restoration candidates.
He's looking for time capsules.
He was only looking for the best of the best of the best.
Wow.
Like a Boxster. I mean, how many people kept first year Boxsters in that kind of condition.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Or the 944 Turbo Cup, still body in white.
Wow.
With the fiberglass hood that's a little bit off color, I believe.
Something like that I could see someone buying and parking. But, you know, the base Cayman, right, Damon? I mean, who would buy base Cayman and just keep it perfect? It's not something that you would think the RS maybe, but not the base. So
that's probably more rare, right?
It's like a 77 928. You know, that would finding one in perfect shape. It's just almost unheard of.
All right, can we play a little game? Did you look through the collection and did you pick out if you had an option to buy one of them, which one of them? And those of you that are listening, take the time to look at the collection, and I would love to see what you've picked out of the collection as your favorite vehicle. I'm going to let Damon go first. What did you pick?
Yeah, so this is I wanted to not pick this one because in my opinion, there's so much better cars. When I say better, I mean more provenance, more historic, more history to them, real classics. But I picked what I think is a future classic that is already a classic, perhaps, and that's the 997.2 GT3 RS.
So that is a 2000. Just so people that don't know, it's a 2011 911 GT3 RS.
Yep. So 475 horsepower, 3.8 liter.
You picked the goat.
6-speed manual. It's basically the car, just a different color that I drove a little over 10 years ago. A press car. We had that in a 997 2RS GT2 RS.
So I thought it was a 4-liter we were looking at. So this is just a 3.8.
Yeah, I like the 3.8.
It's funny you say just the 3.8. It's still an amazing car. But the goat is the 4.0. Yeah, goat's 4.0.
Well, no. Let's back up there. I prefer. So I got to drive the 3.8 and the 4.0 pretty close to each other. 4.0 to me it's not enough to justify the price, and then you'd be scared of driving it anyway.
Well,
that doesn't matter.
Goat does not take price into consideration.
Was Tom Brady worth what he said he was? Who cares? He got Super Bowls.
Well, I picked this one because it's something that I could park in my garage and look at, but also I could take out, and I know it's one of the best cars I've ever driven, bar none.
I have a local friend here that has one, and he will be very happy that you chose that car. And understandably, that a 3.8 GT3 RS is.
Isn't that what Ilko has?
Ilka also has.
Yes, he has a 3.8.
Yep. So very cool car.
Yep.
How about you, Manny?
This is a tough one. I was thought to myself, okay, you can only pick one car in this collection.
And before you tell us, there's when you go to the Arm Sotheby's site, there's about 15 pages that you go through, and it's not all cars, but there's a lot to choose from.
It starts off with cars.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from.
It's very. I sent an email to Arm Sotheby's, but never got back to me with some asking just some basic questions. Anyways, I thought about the Martini edition. Like I said, that would be my price range and be able to have something so special. But
You're
then
being realistic about it.
Yeah. But then I thought, well, let's just say I got those winning Powerball numbers. It would be the 964 RSR. And what made me, at first I wasn't going to pick this because the ones I've seen are all like ex-race cars, so they're stripped interiors. But then I saw the interior and I thought, yep, I could pull this off as a street car. Yes, that's a lot of red.
I am so surprised that you picked that one because that is so much louder than your normal taste.
Yeah, but it's an RSR, and it's such a rare car.
Yeah.
And horsepower-wise, it's not that much compared to. I mean, I think a base Cayman has more horsepower than this car has, but it is the RSR. It is the GOAT, the same car they ran at Le Mans. That would be
very nice. And that car is like the poster thumbnail for our video and a lot of our social media.
That was the panorama cover for November or December whenever the story came out, 2018.
The irony would be that I'm colorblind, so I can't see red, so it's all good.
It's super bright.
A little story about this that I don't think made it into the, I don't want to say too much, but just a little background. There are some things that I know that the owner or caretaker said they didn't really want out, but this car was ordered brand new from Porsche like this. The guy, I believe he was in either Singapore or the Philippines, the original owner, or that's where he was from. And it was stored, I think, in England for many, many years. But yeah, he bought it new. This is what he wanted, a street car with or an RSR, but has all the street car sort of accoutrements, but you still can't drive it on the street. So,
All right. I mean, that is a cool car. I will give
Yeah.
it that. But I see both of your cars, and I will share with you what I chose, which I think is the GOAT, is a 97 GT2. The one of
Nice.
17 Japanese.
Is it a club sport or a regular GT?
There it is.
That's a regular GT too.
That is a gorgeous 1997 911 GT2 with the iconic speed lines, the riveted fenders, the iconic tail, 430 horsepower. Whew. That's
Yeah.
a good looking car. I
Yeah,
think
and they
it's-
drive really well. Although I've driven only a Tribute, but a really well done Tribute.
Yeah.
They,
And the car looks as new. I mean,
yeah.
you look at the engine bay, you look at the calipers, you look at that
I don't
car.
think he had any high mileage cars in his collection.
No, that was also another thing. They all had to be like relatively low mileage.
Yeah.
Couldn't be high mileage.
See, to me, that's just that's what makes this collection so special is that he kept them in this condition, and hopefully, because if people don't keep them in these conditions,
We won't have a reference
exactly,
for the future.
exactly, it's great to go back and say, yeah, this is the way it was. That's what I love about my 914. It's so original that seals are still original. That I just replaced the vacuum lines after 50 years, and then I kept all the old vacuum lines just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a beautiful car too.
It's going to be interesting. How does one collect something like this and then it all goes away? Then do you go back
Yeah.
to one car? Like, what do you fill the warehouse with? Or, I don't know. That's,
Yeah.
as a hoarder, it's tough for me to think that
It'll
all of it's going to disappear.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We probably won't find out who buys the collection, or
Yeah.
usually kept very, very, very confidential, and they have other people bidding for it. But if we'll see these
Now
cars pop up afterwards,
Do you think the cars that are sold from this collection in the future, we'll hear about, oh, yeah, this car was part of the white collection? Like
Oh, yeah.
people like
Sure.
to
I think
people like to
so.
reference that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you at least some of them, yeah. I
Yeah,
think.
but, I mean, and then you have the memorabilia,
Oh,
which
yes.
was
So I went a little crazy on this because I think some of this stuff is within the realm of me bidding. So I'm going to be absolutely glued to my computer on the day of the auction. And so I pulled up a couple things to share with you all. They have one of the rare PCA anniversary Chopard watches, but not just the regular stainless steel one. This is the one of 6 rose gold Chopards. And
I remember.
maybe I shouldn't be talking about this because now I've just ruined my chances for maybe getting a good
Oh,
deal
you're
on
not
it.
going to buy that. That's going to go for like what new? It was 15,000. Was it new?
I think
Or 12,000?
Yes, it was in the
I
teens,
remember
so,
we
yeah.
thought we weren't going to sell any, and then that was the first thing we sold out of.
Those
was
sold
the
out
gold
first.
ones.
Yep. So also they have this classic dealer sign which lights up. I think that's cool, and it looks like it's in perfect condition.
That's what I
the
would.
go karts.
That I would go on a die to be able to fit into this, but that's probably. Oh, I bet you.
So describe
30, 40?
describe that for the listeners that aren't watching it on YouTube.
It's the 936, the 936 dash or backslash 81. This is the one that Porsche would have pulled out of the museum, and they win Le Mans with. And 1981 had the Jules sponsorship on it. Anyways, this was the junior version of that. So it's a single-seater go-kart that is way cool. And, I would have loved to have been a kid and had one of these. And I would, like I said, I would lose weight to be able to fit in this thing.
So for those of you that are watching, those of you that bid on this and win, please call us.
Right.
Porsche sold these, and I'm going to say this is easy 5-figure car.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We've seen them all, but they've been ran. This thing is pristine. Just
Yeah.
look at the knobbies on the tires. I mean, like, where does one find one so incredibly clean? I've never seen that.
It's basically
Quality.
this car or a really nice Boxster.
Yeah. All right. The next one is Jim Hemmig is going to go gaga, and we'll probably have to throw in some bids here. And this is the Bike FS Evolution, a full suspension bike in speed yellow with carbon fiber pieces on it. Again,
What's something like that worth?
I would say in the condition that it's in, that will probably do 8 to 10, I would say. And it's still, you can literally see the tag hanging off of the seat. So this is probably a never been ridden, completely original specimen, no wear marks. I mean, you look at the seat, it's in perfect condition. It has all the reflectors. Probably went from dealership to an owner's collection, and in this collection,
Kind of like the bike I own, only ridden once.
yeah.
I feel guilty riding that. That speed
Yeah.
yellow, man.
That's
it's
awesome.
beautiful,
And
but-
that's not the only, like, I only picked this bike because that's the one that I want. But there are other Porsche bikes in the collection that you can bid on. Next is something that I've never seen in red. I've only seen them in blue,
yeah.
which is
What was the red for?
I don't know. So this is the 212 ski bob, and it's something it all collapses and self-contains into the body.
I think it was like in a trunk of a car, very easily.
Yes, and there's the ski that's under you. There's a ski that's part of the steering, but then also for your feet there are skis that are inside the box. So there's actually 4 skis that are touching the ground as you go down the hill. And if someone has one of those, I would love to do a one hill review.
I used to see those all the time at like the Hershey swap meet, the blue one,
Yeah,
and
I've never
they
seen
look
a
well
red one.
used, and I
Yeah,
never thought to buy one.
yeah. Well, there was one at the Hershey from earlier this year, and I came very close to buying it, but
What were they asking
didn't.
for it?
I think they sold it for like 1,100, but it was well used. And so, anyways, this next one here I've never seen before, and I love the retro look. It's the Porsche Junior sled in what looks to be not speed yellow, but it's yellow, and it's got a very cool checker pattern, and it's got steel runners underneath of it. Again, could you imagine as a kid, your parents came home and put that under the Christmas tree, or somehow you got that? I've never seen that before. It's so cool. It looks like it's a fiberglass sled.
I was going to say it looks like 917 fiberglass on it.
Yeah, very cool.
It looks like it's been used, so I wouldn't feel that's not a junior sled. That's a Damon sled.
That's
I would find that thing.
got very cool patina. The next item is something that I think is reasonable and not really a stretch, but something that a lot of people that have 4-spoke 996 steering wheels, or they have 4-spoke Boxster wheels that they want to upgrade to a 3-spoke, in this collection they have a perfect 3-spoke 996 steering wheel, and that'll go for if people don't go crazy, I would say
With or
maybe,
without airbag?
with airbag. How much do you think that'll go for?
Perfect.
It looks
I
perfect.
don't know, 1,500.
Perfect.
I would say probably about $1,000. $1,000. It looks
That's
pretty.
not like horrible.
Oh yeah, it's not perfect.
It's expensive, but
But it
still.
looks, yeah.
Do you display that, or you actually put it in your car?
No, I think that's like something you buy and it actually is usable. I would definitely put that in a car for sure. Yep. And then the last one, is probably more reminiscent of my childhood. And again, I did not know that they made this, so now I am going to be on a quest to find one if I don't actually win the bid for this one, and that is the Skatester. How
I've
cool!
never seen
How
that. That's
cool is
that's
that?
a Porsche design product?
A Porsche design
Wow,
skateboard.
I've never seen that.
Called the Skatester. Come on.
I don't think they even
That's
had that on
nice.
display
Is that
at
wood,
Porsche
or is that
Design.
like? Is it
Porsche.
composite?
Porsche Design Sports. No, I bet you it's wood. I'd be interested to see what manufacturer made the trucks for that. If it's like something they had like independent or Gullwing trucks make it. But I would love to see that in person too. So don't bid against me. Let me take that one home, please.
So I think one of the questions I asked was, is it going to be held? Is the auction going to be held at the White Collection? Because it doesn't say. I couldn't find anything on RM that said where the auction is going to be, other than they're selling general admission tickets. So hopefully, maybe we can put it in the comments if I get a word back from RM where it's going to be held at. Obviously, you're going to be able to bid online too.
What do you think about if we can find cheap enough Southwest flights to be, or maybe if we can get sponsored to actually go to the auction?
I would
cover
love
it.
to. I would.
Then we
I would
can-
love if the owner was there, because I would love to ask him as a fellow collector, like the story behind somebody's purchases, where you got them from, because that's half the fun to me, is hearing the story of how you got a certain car or a certain piece of memorabilia.
What's the date of the auction? December 4th, I think?
December 1st and 2nd. Yeah.
December 1st and 2nd?
December 1st and 2nd, yeah.
Timeline-wise, we could possibly make that happen. So RM Sotheby's, if you're listening, we'd love to come down and cover it all.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that there. All right, so let's get into the news that you've chosen for this week. And I actually wore a shirt yesterday that said... Save the manuals, and today we're talking about how Porsche remains committed to the manual transmission.
At least for this model run, they're saying that yes, they're going to stay committed to the manual. I was surprised how many other manufacturers are not making, and one of them was Volkswagen.
Why are you surprised? Come on, people don't want to buy it.
Because you think of, like, I was talking to Anthony in Member Services, and he didn't even know that Volkswagen by 2025 won't have a manual option.
There is an expiration date on manual transmissions,
I said,
my friend.
Wow. I said, that means soon we're going to have a generation of people who don't know how to drive.
We already have that.
We do, but it's still something you can go out and learn. I mean, it's just, that's a little
it's
shocking.
sad.
Yeah.
It's shocking. It's not shocking to me. People aren't buying them, but it is sad because, there will be a time when people don't know the romance of actually pushing in a clutch, matching it perfectly with the shift and gas.
What's funny is I learned to drive a motorcycle and change gears first, and then when I got the chance to learn stick shift in a car, when it was explained to me, it was so much easier to understand, because what I had been doing with my feet and hands, now I was just strictly doing my hands, but it wasn't that big of a. I think I learned it within a half hour how to do it in a car.
That brings a very interesting observation. How come motorcycles haven't followed the same trend of making more of just a twist the throttle and go?
So I assume they're doing it with cars for emission purposes. Emissions, or maybe even sound. It's something to do, because normally, for the longest time, it was actually, you got better emissions, better gas mileage with the manual.
Right.
But I think with the way computers are now and injection, they can actually program it to where it's more effective for an automatic.
If there's anyone listening that's in tune with the motorcycle side, I'd be curious why it isn't. Why isn't there like a PDK for motorcycles? Or maybe because you just can't fit something like that on a chassis of a motorcycle.
And weight. PDKs, I mean, automatic transmissions are always heavier.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's probably a very simple question, is space.
But maybe it'll transition when they go all electric, when you won't need a transmission.
That's true. Like the Harley Davidson Livewire and some of these newer electric motorcycles, they are just twist and go. There's no transmission to deal with. Interesting. All right, next one has to do with Taycan sales.
Yeah, they're up. In case I heard some people saying, "Oh, the interest in Taycans have waned and whatnot." Not true. They were actually they're doing very well. They're not struggling or whatever. People, I just heard talk about it on forums and different social media. The Taycan is still an integral part of Porsche's lineup. I mean, Porsche overall, the other news article was talking about how much Porsche has, how well Porsche has done in sales, but the Taycan is still very much an interest.
And I think I got to give kudos to Porsche, for an electric car to carry over, the trademarks and the traditions of all the ICE cars that they've produced. You feel that when you sit in it, and when when like the distance of things where you're reaching for, the feel of the ride, the experience is still very close to what Porsche's is all about. I did read earlier today, I forget which U.S. manufacturer, but they are actually holding off like full conversion of their manufacturing facility for EVs because they feel EV demand is not as high as they originally anticipated, which is interesting.
As much as I would hate doing this, I'd hate to, if you're looking for an electric car, a Tesla is like your best choice.
Oh, I think Tesla's
simply because their charging network is
yeah.
so good, and that you can go cross country and not stress about it.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to where you live. Like if you have the ability to charge at home, then and you don't drive your car cross country, you're just going
if
to
you're
work.
just doing it for
Yeah.
that. But I think people may not necessarily want two cars, one for a long trip, one for local commuting.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
true.
have that,
luxury.
wherewithal,
Yeah.
then sure.
Yeah.
For me, an electric car would be great because I would use it just for commuting
Mm-hmm.
back and forth to home, and then use the gas car for long trips.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to take the electric car, that's one thing that not just Porsche, but everyone except Tesla has to work on or lean on, is the charging network.
Yeah.
And not the infrastructure so much as getting electricity to it, but just the charging. I hear so many nightmare stories about people showing up to these charging stations and half of them not working.
Yeah.
It's just not a good sign.
It's not as easy as stopping at and getting a full tank of gas. Like
No,
that's where they need to get
exactly.
it. They need to make it that
You
convenient.
pull into the gas station, the pumps all have a little yellow bag over top, but you just drive usually across
Right.
the street to the next gas station.
That's a great scenario. Is imagine going to your gas station and having 50% of the gas pumps with that yellow cover over the handle. You'd be pissed.
But not only that, but you would probably sit there for a while saying, "Why doesn't it the pumps in the hole? Why doesn't it pour gas?" And you're sitting there arguing with somebody on the phone. It's not a good way to start off a new type of technology. So, anyways, Taycan sales doing well for people, I guess, who are charging at home and don't care about long trips with them.
You had another also along with sales, a DuPont registry article.
That was about. Did you look at it?
I didn't.
Why don't you look at these articles that I spend time cultivating?
I was making a smooth transition for you.
Well,
for you.
in case you hadn't, since you didn't read it, Porsche had a phenomenal third quarter. There's no surprise the Macan is their top seller. Then followed by the Cayenne and then the sports cars. But every segment was up, and surprisingly, everywhere it's up except China. China is where the sales were like down, or
Interesting.
not to expect it. And that's really the economy right now.
Yeah.
But everywhere else in the world, Porsche is doing incredibly well in sales, and the U.S. It's when Timo comes in as CEO, he's coming into a very good ship, and I almost I think I said this to somebody. When Kel left, I said it would almost be the CEOs. You'd have to really do something stupid to screw this momentum up. It's
You did not just say that.
I did. I mean, think about
Well,
it.
think about this. They didn't have a CEO for their best quarter ever.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'll give Joe Lawrence credit. Then
Yeah.
Joe's doing a great job as
Yeah.
COO. No, it's they've got the right product. They're selling. They're not discounting. So I think everyone.
Yeah,
should be happy.
And as a car club, we are very fortunate that the manufacturer that we covet is doing really well. Because if they do well, then guess what? We do well as well.
Yeah.
So we're very thankful for that. We talked about events earlier, such as Unstock. Again, registration is open for our November 12th event, so be sure you're registered for that. We also have back in the West, Tech Tactics West in Eastvale, California at the Porsche Training Center. The event is November 18th and 19th. You only have to register for Saturday or Sunday. It's the same curriculum both days, so you have the option of Saturday or Sunday, and we'll definitely have some amazing guest speakers. And
We already have confirmed. We have a gentleman coming from Atlanta to talk about bodywork. Now, you may think, how exciting is that?
is that Mr. Kukaveka?
Yes. Thank you for
Oh.
pronouncing his name correctly.
He's awesome.
I heard him in Parade, and wow. First thing I thought was, we definitely got to record this.
Yeah.
To get it out to the greater membership. But if you can make it live, he is just... What I learned was, if I have a newer Porsche, I either want it totaled if somebody hits me, because, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or I'm definitely going to get a certified Porsche repair shop to fix this car, because it is not like the old cars of the 80s
Where
where
it was-
it's the same material used throughout
Yep,
the car.
yep.
These cars are so complicated now. And he talks about how the different structures of the car are put together, how they're bonded, how they train their technicians to repair. and how if you see how to spot a car that's been repaired properly, because you hear a body shop say, yeah, I can make it look like it was never an accident, and you don't want that, because there's areas of the car that you can't get to now that the car's been built. So Porsche makes these special braces, and they only sell it to authorized Porsche repair shops. And so if the car has been fixed by an outside place, it hasn't been fixed right. And by that meaning, if the car's in an accident again, it's not going to do the same type of saving you, if you will, as the original build of the car. So anyways, I found the whole hour incredibly enlightening and learning and stuff. So I wanted to bring him to West Coast, and he's agreed to come out. And we've got other people that Kathy Lee, our Porsche Cars North America contact, is working hard on getting. So it should be a fun day of tech.
And if you've never been to Tech Taxis before, you're actually sitting right in front of the guest speakers. You're listening to what they have to present, but also you get to interact with them during the presentation, and as well as when in between sessions, they stick around for the whole day, and you can have side conversations with them.
We're working on Michael Tam. He said he had nothing new to present. I'm like, Michael, it doesn't matter what you talk about.
Just come, Michael.
I asked him to come talk about the ST.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people don't know what the ST is and what the purpose of it in this world. So hopefully we get
It's so funny because the stuff in his head seems so like mundane, but when he shares it with us, we're like, well, we didn't know that. Like he has
I told him, I said, stuff you heard of like 2 months ago doesn't mean we all heard it.
Yeah.
You think it's old news.
Michael,
We've
if
never
you're
heard
listening, please come. We'd love to have you.
Michael or Abe, either one. Both of them together, we'll take them.
Together would be
Exactly.
even better. Yeah. Let's see. So sign up for Tech Tactics West, and also we still have a few rooms left for Treffin at Sea. Actually, when we went out for the HRE site visit, we went to visit the ship that is a sister ship to the one that will be on December 9th. And it's a newer version of the ship that we were on last year. Beautiful, everything you would expect in a fairly new ship. And like I said, a few rooms left. Hope to see many of you there. I think we're definitely approaching 800 folks at sea together. And we've got a great agenda.
It might just be me, but when I was on that ship, I didn't see that many lifeboats to match the amount of people on the ship. I'm just saying.
they're stealth. They're stealth.
Manny, it won't sink. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Didn't
Captain
they say that about
Titanic.
Titanic?
So
The unsinkable.
I do want to share with you just some of the presentations that will be on Treffin at Sea. So we have what's called open mic with Nathan Mers. So people that come to the seminar can just throw questions at him, and he will just talk about whatever you like. We have Ramsey Potts.
He can talk about selling water-damaged Porsches.
Too close, too soon. Ramsey Potts with Haggerty's data and market update. We've got Kelly Telfer showing people how to paint Porsches. We have Rod Emery, and the title is going to be From Outlaw to Rennsport, the Emery story. So that'll be very cool. We also have Lee Giannoni from Mecum talking about the future of your Porsche, meaning what happens when you're gone. Do you have your family sell it? Do you gift it to someone? Like the estate planning around it and all that. And it's,
Put your ashes in it and get it buried.
So a lot of cool seminars that will be happening. So again, if you're available December 9th, I'd love to see you on board with us.
Wouldn't mind giving a plug to Nathan Mers' next video, which I've watched. It's an hour and 55 minutes. If you wanted to know anything about the 993, this is your video.
I got 20
you don't
minutes
have
to
a
go
date,
on that
but
video.
pay attention. Next couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's going to be, I think, our holiday gift to PCA members. This almost 2-hour long need to know about 993s.
Yes, it still doesn't cover everything because there's so many special editions, but it's a very thorough video. Like I got 20 minutes left on the video. I learned a lot, little things that you never thought about, like how to tell the difference with the bumpers on some of the models and the texture. And for a Porsche geek, it's perfect. For a casual observer of 911s, maybe not so much, but it's you can win a tech quiz by the time you're done watching this video.
Exactly.
If you're in the market, you must watch this video. is what I'll say
Exactly.
about it.
I'll make it easy for you. Just buy 911 Carrera S 98 and call it a day, and you'll have the best of the best.
You're giving away the story.
I don't think he agrees with that necessarily, because but that's the goat of that era. I also wanted to mention. I know I didn't give Robert this link because it just came through. New rumor. For the longest time, we remember we were on the Formula One watch, and then Red Bull kind of squashed it and said it was all done. But now rumors have surfaced again that Porsche may take over the Audi effort.
I've been hearing this as well. Probably the
Yeah.
same
I read
story.
that as well.
So evidently the new Audi CEO, not a Formula One fan.
Anyone want to buy? Want to buy? Want to
And
buy?
so,
Got it for sale?
yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if AlphaTauri becomes Porsche.
Yeah.
Or
That or
Audi take it over.
anyway.
But
Yeah.
again, I go back to your comments that it makes you nervous because competing at
yeah.
the F1 level is a
Well,
is
you
a
can
big
see
task.
with the 963 how much they struggle. Not because they're not competent. It's simply because there's other makes and manufacturers, and they have to play by the rules. And just so many things that it's not going to be instant success. And unfortunately, the public's temperance for something like this is very limited, and they're going to want to see Porsche at the top immediately. And hell, look at Ferrari, how much they struggle, and
Yeah.
this is Ferrari who's been in it since day one. But it'll be interesting to watch now that the rumor mill's back up again to see what happens with Porsche.
All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and I want to thank everyone for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and you own a Porsche, grab that VIN and head over to PCA.org, and we'll set you up. If you are looking for a Porsche, we have the test drive program. Again, just head over to PCA.org, and we'll give you access to some resources, and that way you make sure you get the right Porsche in your driveway. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page to see behind-the-scenes photos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. Send us a message or email at podcast@pca.org, and of course, comment. We love seeing the comments on the YouTube, and we read them, we follow up with them. We asked you a couple questions on today's episode and love to see your responses. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.